This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, X Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL, Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing, and every once in a while, we get a big name pro that rolls through the area.
Big name, you know.
You got your own hat. You got and you have your own saying, Ocean Pony. You
Yeah.
have your own nickname.
Yeah.
So that qualifies. Darold Gleason,
Yeah.
joining me in the BTL studios on a frosty Tuesday that is going to conclude with some crappie fishing immediately after the show.
Pretty excited about the crappie fishing. I ain't gonna lie.
Thanks for stopping by. I know
Yeah.
that you're kind of in this neck of the woods a little bit. We have a mutual sponsor, the Bass Tank.
Right.
And you've got the big dually out in the parking lot there,
Yeah.
and you got the rig
Yeah.
up with Scott Palmer
Yeah.
and the boys at the Bass Tank getting ready for the Bassmaster Open EQ season, which kicks off the first week of February.
I know it's like it's fixing to happen, ain't it?
Yeah, it's real close.
Real
And then
quick.
with the new off limits, I was thinking 30 days out, but now it's 14 days out.
Yeah.
And Okeechobee terrifies me, to be quite honest. It's you know how it is.
Last year was the first time I went there. So like,
Is it as intimidating as it seems if you haven't
Mhm.
spent a lot of time on it?
yeah. And it's an intimidating, if you haven't been there, it's intimidating enough. But when you know the field you're fishing against, has Scott Martin in it and all these other guys that
Yeah.
have been there quite a few times. Yeah. That's the part that could rattle your head. Don't let it rattle your head.
So
But
what do
it's
you
a
think has
big
more
place.
information, though? The opens, where you can get info up to 14 days before the event, or an elite series where it goes off limits, but you have the guys who
They just seem to know. Like, I always felt like my time out there, like 3 days of practice, a lot of times I learned what they showed up knowing.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it took me 3 days to find what they started with a lot of times. So
But that's probably how a lot of guys feel. That's how I feel on Toledo Bend.
1,000%. I think you feel it anyway, especially when you go to a big one. And Okeechobee's changed a lot. So yeah, I think I'll spin you out or anything. It was intimidating, and that thing is rough, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think of Florida, you don't think of big water, but it gets like
It's the fifth largest lake
Mhm.
completely enclosed in
you
the
can't see
United
across the
States.
middle. Like, you're fishing and there's like boats everywhere around you. You look out toward the middle and you can't see the land anywhere.
Have you ever gone across it?
I didn't do it. No, I never ran across it. They have like the little rim canals,
Yeah.
and those kind of thing. I ran that kind of stuff, but I never had to go across it. But last year we also went out of the northern west area near the Kissimmee River or whatever river
Yeah.
that is. We're going out of
Scott,
Scott Martin or Roland Martin's Marina.
have
or
you?
whatever.
So I have been there.
I went down there and had it was cool. One of my good friends through like guiding or whatever was down there visiting. I went down there and had dinner with him. one evening.
Do they still have the deal where it's like the Roland Martin body with the head cut out when you roll in, and you
I
can
didn't
put
see
your head in there, and it says like it's a biggin' son or something? Because I
I
remember when I
didn't
went
see
there, I
that,
took
but
the picture
I'm mad I didn't.
where
see
you know
it.
what I mean, like where they have the
Yeah,
cutout
yeah, yeah.
head, and I had to do that, and then I
missed
went
that
in
part
there
of
and
it, but
got.
yeah, I didn't do the tourist thing very well. I wish I would have. That would have been really cool.
Florida's the other thing where when you go to the tackle shop, there's like a couple brands,
Yeah.
regardless of what you use. It
Right.
does. I do not care who you are. You
Yeah.
could be sponsored by the best plastics
But
in
you're
the
gonna go
world.
spend some money on
You're gonna get
Gambler.
Bitters Baits,
Bitters, Gambler,
Gambler, and Bruiser.
Bruiser. They're all super popular and they work down there well too. So like, yeah, it don't matter who you're sponsored
Yeah.
by, whatever. I've seen not just myself. Tackle stores love when I roll in because I always get some goodies. But all the pros, you got to buy that stuff when you're like, there's regional things everywhere, that work. And down there, for some reason, those guys get it. And mostly because they make everything in black and blue and Junebug,
Yeah.
like 98 variations of black and blue. But it'd be a fun way to start. That was my first time last year for that elite going there. So I'm curious to see how the open field will lay out on it.
I think it'll be a disaster. I mean, it'll be a disaster.
Snuggle struggle. It'll be really.
I mean, you fished a bunch of the opens. You know how it is with the 200 boats. They all.
yeah. And a lot of times in Florida, people say if you're not around a crowd, you're not around the fish, right?
not a lot of times. I think that's
like it's got to happen.
Has there ever been a Florida tournament that was won by a dude off on his lonesome? I mean,
You'd have
think
to go
back through history.
deep in the archives.
Like a dude who was like, I mean, was Rivette? Was that Rivette?
I don't know if he was
doing
alone.
something by himself.
He clearly was doing the best thing. I don't know if he was alone though up there. I think other people fished up that river.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, like, so while the events are going on and stuff, and obviously with like the way my year ended, I hadn't looked back to see. Like when the event's going on, you don't know really who's catching them where. You can't look at coverage. You can't do those things. So, you know, obviously after the event, you're like, oh God, he won scoping. Like you hear that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I don't know. So I don't know that he was on his own, but I know there was a lot of dudes in a few, like a couple areas, lots of dudes jammed in there. It's gonna be a little weird for the opens. There'll be some videos coming out like whole buzzard, and there's gonna be like 40 people in the background, you know, like I just tend to roll into those. Took me a while to do it. Like at Harris Chain the year before that on the elites, I was around the Banana Cove party and I decided to like stay on the outer edges and they all caught the crap out of them and I look like an idiot. So I just think everyone has to accept that like we're all
you're gonna be looking at someone.
We're gonna be looking at someone. It's good.
Jody White, the fearless leader over at MLF, who's
Jody Blanco,
provides inordinate amount of knowledge, vast knowledge. He said Schmidt was pretty lonely when he won the Toyota series on Toho. I don't remember that tournament. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't either right now. I know Schmidt's won everything with grass.
Yeah.
I don't remember that event specifically right now.
My toxic trait is when I have a poor event.
Yeah.
I don't want to be reminded of it, so I don't watch any of the other videos that come out or exactly how it was won, or even the live, like when they have the live on the final day. And those are the events that I need to be watching the most to see what I missed. Now, when I check, I want to go back and see how the guys did and stuff, but I should be doubling down and trying to learn as much, if not more, after that event.
I did both, and maybe it wasn't good for me because after a bad event, I would, like a lot of times, I would do, you know, Bass Live on the weekend or whatever.
Yep.
They'd have me, so I would watch some the morning of to kind of get an idea of what I missed, what's going on, what's the storyline, so I could go do a good job doing that. But if I was traveling like immediately after an event, I would watch some of the live to try to learn. But looking back, I wish I hadn't, because I think you do need a little time, like mentally, to like work through what you did and not. You don't want to mix in what someone else is doing, because it's easy when you're like, oh, he's live's coming up, you know, like it makes you feel dumb, but you did a lot of things that led you to where you were for a reason. I don't know, a little more time to sort that out, I think helps without mixing in what everybody else is doing.
Are you excited to get the year started and back on the water? Because like, let's say you did a decade to make it, you fished the elites for 2 years, and then bam, we're starting 3 years. Sorry.
No, you're good.
And then we're starting right off in February, and you're in for all 9.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it took me a little time, you know, like well documented, myself and other people. Like when I come home from St. Lawrence, it sucked.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to the podcast.
Yeah, me and you did a podcast, talked all about it. But you know, like every day I got away from that. Like I am looking forward. I'm not looking back. So like even if my wife says something back home, like she may say something about, you know, last year, like she's all in this with me too, right? So she'll say something, I just say rearview mirror. Yeah. That's all I mean. Like all that's so very fired up. Like picking up the new boat, getting it up here to the bass tank, get all my electronics.
What are you running?
On it. This is my 16th, I think, Phoenix.
16 Phoenixes?
I believe it's 16. Yeah, I started in 09, walked up to Gary Klaus at the Classic at I was a school teacher at the time that just fished on the weekends on Toledo Bend and Rayburn.
Yeah.
The Classic was at Red River and just like rolled up to Gary Klaus like I was somebody. Dude,
cold. Saw him
standing there, knew who he was. I'm a fish nerd. You know, we've talked about how I like bass on. I like watch it all the time when I was teaching school. But just stone cold. I don't know why I did this, or because now I'm a pretty shy dude when I don't know people. It's hard for me to approach new dudes. But I just rolled up to him and chatted with him a little bit, and he was super cool. Kind of gave me a shot.
Did you go there with the intention to chat with him?
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of fired yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, because you got to think too, like this was 08, 09, this was 09.
Yep.
There wasn't as many boat companies. Like it was a big deal when a new company come out, and Phoenix had a lot of hype.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of hype around like this new build and this new ride. And
remember they had that deal in the middle of the deal.
The little
it was
lazy
like a
Susan.
Lazy Susan.
I had that. So the boat I ended up buying, like it was really cool. Blessed that he gave me an opportunity, right? which is ironic because me and him both are now back in the opens.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Here, pull that a little bit closer to your mouth there.
it was really cool to me. The first boat that I ran was actually the boat that was on their home screen on their website, a red and white 721. So yeah, it's cool. And like not many guys have, I don't know anyone else other than maybe Gary or someone at the factory who's been with them like from day one. I know Hackney's been with them, I believe, a long time. And there's several others, but yeah, it's really cool, dude. So, but all that stuff preparing for next season, it like, you know, all those little scars you get from a bad season, whether it's opens or whatever it is, it's the best way I found to heal them is moving forward and starting to anticipate. So like me and my wife were planning, you know, what campgrounds we're going to stay at. I hadn't started researching for lakes yet and all that stuff, but like getting my boat rigged out, fixing to order all my Falcon rods, like getting all that stuff ready, looking forward is like the best way to anticipate it all.
You're cool with talking about what you're putting on the rig this year? Like electronics wise and setup and all that?
Yeah, we can.
Are you going crazy?
No, I'm not going crazy. It's crazy for me because I'm making a change in brands, which is.
We didn't talk about this before the show. Is this you're good with this? I mean, you don't.
No, I'm fine.
All right, yeah, let's have it because I'm interested in this because we're gonna go fishing. I run multiple brands on mine. We're headed to go catch some.
Yeah, and it's not just one of those life changes. Probably it's good to make some changes, dude. Like I'm super loyal and stay with people a long time. And luckily they stay with me as well. But yeah, for the first time this year, I'll be running Garmin's, and I'm excited about
mapping everything,
all units, trolling motor, all of it. And I've been a Lowrance guy for years. They're great. Yeah. I'm not the guy. It's like I switched because this is the best, and they all suck. I'm not doing that. It was just kind of time for a change, and especially me. You know, one of the things that happens when you were on the elites, and then you have to. I'm gonna use the word relegated. That's a Carl Jakobsen term from soccer. Relegated. Yeah. It sounds better than the boot. When you're relegated back down, you know, like a lot of your sponsor deals change, right?
Yep.
And so, you know, with some of those changes, it's time for you to make a transition. So I'm kind of excited about that. That's another thing. Like I've stared at one screen, dude, for like 10 or 12 years, like my whole guiding professional career. So it'd be kind of fun to go learn some new stuff, and they're doing great things. A big part of that too, you know, this is like at the opens, like getting service. If you have a problem, if something happens, and the Garmin guys are there. I don't know that Lowrance. I don't believe Lowrance travels to the opens.
I think they might.
Maybe some. I'm not sure.
There's something there. I do know the Garmin guys. Like I've torqued my.
I talked with them a few times.
My transducer at the Red River where I walked up, and the Garmin guy was like, awesome. He's like, here's what happened. Here's a part that you need to carry that's extra, and here's how you level it to make sure that you're right back
which
on.
Is like it's hard to say when you're on the road doing that stuff. It's a huge deal to have that kind of backing. And then he came up to me the next day walking down and was like, everything good? And I didn't know the guy. Yeah. But again, nothing negative to say about Lowrance, but I'm excited. And part of it too, like working with the Bass Tank, they, you know, move a lot of Garmin's. They know a lot of stuff about Garmin. So again, it was a change. Change is sometimes hard for me because again, I get stuck in stuff. Yeah, but I do. I'm excited, but no, I'm not going over the top, dude. I'm running. I'll have 4 units on the boat, 412s, trolling motor. I'm doing two transducers up front, two live scope transducers. Okay. One in perspective, one forward.
There you
go. I did the same thing.
Which is crazy that's what's standard now. Not going over the top.
I know. Like I did that last year, and people were like, "You're running 2 active targets. Holy cow, dude!" Now it's nothing when they started seeing guys with 5 and 6. But yeah, I'm excited. Like all of these things to me I kind of feel like I did all those years in the opens, like that anticipation of a new season. That's what gets you going. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and all
Foster
the planning.
Back.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing that everyone talks about is the sponsor. When you're relegated when you move up, because I've also talked to some guys who are like, holy cow, I had sponsored deals at the Open, wasn't planning on making the Elite Series, then made the Elite Series. And my sponsor's like, cool, we get you for free for 2 years, basically. And they're like, wait, that's how that works? So, I mean, that's a weird dynamic too. And you have a really unique non-endemic.
Yeah. So Foster Fence, commercial fence company out of like the Houston, Texas area, but they work everywhere. As far as I know, like, we're good. Like I actually talked to him yesterday. He's probably watching today. Like he's a huge fan of the show and all that. Wow. So, I'll be good there. And all the other sponsor stuff. Nothing major to announce at this time. Everyone's on board, which is
Okay.
how awesome is that?
No, that's
Because like
awesome.
on, you know, looking in the rearview mirror on that drive home, oh my God, I got to go back to the Opens and requalify.
Yeah.
Oh my God, am I sponsor staying with? Like those are thoughts that go through your head, dude. Like
you're like checking the teaching certificate. Going,
no, I ain't going back teaching.
I'm like still active.
I'm like scrolling through my phone, like who all wants to go fishing, looking for guide clients. Let's go. No, those are thoughts like, dude, since I'm dropping back, who's going to stay on board? Because it's going to be a journey coming back. I know. But I'm blessed, dude. Great group of people. And that's why I try to do long-term deals and work with people for a long, long time. Because of that, because like in your low moments, they stay, you know, like,
okay. So
big deal.
I want to mention this. So everyone talks about it in the industry. You can get on any podcast and anything, and they talk about the pie and the industry pie and how everyone's trying to get a piece of that. And the Holy Grail is a non-endemic that you work with and you understand. You have that. Yeah. Talk a little bit about how you get a unicorn like that. And then what I'm also interested in is, and this is what I think a lot of people have a lot of anglers have a difficult time transitioning. You know how you can be valuable to an endemic, right? By catching fish, by selling products, by being at the classic and red crest and all that. But a non-endemic, like a Foster, a commercial fencing, like what is the value in Darold Gleason for Foster, and then vice versa? So, I mean, obviously a lot of it for me, it's like, it'd be hard to even say, like he's a special dude, gave me a lot of opportunities. So I don't know if I could ever do what I need to do for him, but how did all like guiding, dude, guiding in relationships for me, that's what it's all about. It's never been a random dude. He calls you up. He says, I want to go out on what? Toledo. He wanted to come on Toledo Bay and go fishing. Had no clue who he was. No. And like, it was actually cool. I don't know if I've ever actually told this story publicly. Like he comes on a guide trip with me, never mentions, hey, I own Foster Fence. You know, they had sponsored another angler at one time down that way. And basically like when they sponsor, like, it's kind of like they sponsor an angler. They want you to take like some of their customers on some trips. They want you to take some of their employees on trips. They want to come on some trips. So it's almost like paying for trips up front situation. Right? I got you. But so his dad had ran the company. They sponsored another angler. I think that angler had moved on to another sponsor. Son bought the company, running it, whatever. So I'm gonna try to expedite this. He comes on a trip with me. Like it's another guy wanting to go fishing. I know nothing about it. And you do this often in the boat on guide trips. You just hit it off, talk about family, talk about life, catch a few fish, have some fun, blah, blah, blah. And this was my maybe third year since I left my teaching job guiding. But the next day I was off and checked I got a text. Hey, check your emails it was from his name's Trent. Trent texted me and said, hey, dude, check your email. I sent you a proposal. Like, that's how he did it. Like, you never talked about it at all. No, we talked about life. We talked about fishing. We did probably talked in general about sponsorship and things, but not you sponsoring me. Yeah, it wasn't a sales pitch. But boss move, dude. He just says, check your email. I got your proposal. I'm like, oh, that's me and my wife were in tears on the couch, dude. Like I didn't have and I had some great sponsors at the time, but I didn't have a title sponsor, like someone really, and that changed everything for me. That allowed me then to like, I have talked about this, like where that changed things for me is then instead of guiding every day up until I left to go to an open, you know, there was no practice time. So I could go like 2-3 days early and get extra practice and things like that. But as far as like returning the value for guys like that, so, you know, it's not that like necessarily he's got tons of contracts off me. I think a lot of it, he's a great person and wants to be along for the ride. And we have such a great relationship. Like he drove me around the classic arena when I made it. Oh, that's cool. Which is really cool. So like just stuff like that. But no, like those fishing trips and stuff, like loving on his customers, dude, like, it's a cool deal for him to say, hey, I got a guy that, you know, wants to go fish Toledo Bend. And he knows like, I'm not some dude on Facebook saying I'm a guide. He knows. So he's got a dude who's putting a ton of money into Foster fencing. And as a perk, he can say, oh, you like to fish? Dude, I got a dude that can take you. So I think such a Texas deal. It is, but I think it could be utilized everywhere. I think it's something a lot of the pros don't utilize. But it's not a rock star fun thing. Like it's cooler to say, dude, I caught him on this crankbait. Go buy a bunch. But as far as moving the needle, I think that more anglers could move the needles in the non-endemic world by getting people in the boat, taking them experience. Like we take for granted in our world, not a lot of people have went out and caught 20 pounds or caught 30 bass or like we think that's common because we do it often. Speak for yourself. Well, I didn't do it as often as I needed to last year, but you know what I'm saying? From guiding, you can tell when someone catches a 5-pounder and like, you know, how excited they are. Like
there's a lot of value to that. So honestly, I do think the biggest thing with him, he's a good dude, and he took a chance on me. I don't know if I could ever repay him, but as far as finding those deals, like my recommendation to dudes is like,
be a good guy.
You have to be
authentic.
You have to be a dude that people want to be on your team. People want to root for you. If you choose to be, name whoever, like Duke basketball, you know what I mean? Like people love them or hate them.
Yeah.
I've always tried to be like a good guy to everybody. I really want to live life that way. And I really mean that. And I do think people are more willing to be on your team when you're not so controversial. And I know controversial gets clicks, and that's so popular right now. I've never been that dude. Like, you described me one time as buttoned up.
Did I really?
You told me, yeah. You said like, you were talking about sponsorship stuff, and you said I would describe you as buttoned up. Like, if I sponsor you, and you're supposed to do this,
well,
this,
I've heard that from sponsors.
Right.
From the guys who are making the decisions. They want to know when they go to bed that when they wake up the next morning, they don't have a guy who's done something that requires.
I could see like
emergency attention.
Some of the people, some of the click getting controversial stuff. Like, dude, if I was running that company or over marketing and I was responsible for some of these dudes, I'd be nervous. So, but anyways, with all that said, dude, it's all about relationships in this sport. I just think a lot of people, and I'm blessed to live where I live on Toledo Bend. I'm near Sam Rayburn. It's a mecca. Like, everyone wants to be down there. So I've made great relationships, and I've worked hard to maintain those and be a good person. And, like, I could never thank him enough. Like, taking a chance, giving me a shot. And even now, as I'm relegated back down, like, we talked on my way home from St. Lawrence. Like, at no point was he ever like, well, dude, you suck now, so I'm out. It's just not like that. But that's the beautiful part to me by having those. You have a relationship where you're not a number on a piece of paper for a conglomerate, bait company, or whoever. It's a different relation. It's a different deal. You're expendable then. Here you have relationships, and so, I don't know. It's an odd deal. Most of it honestly just fell in my lap, but I also spent a lot of quality time on the water with people to get there.
Yeah.
So.
It seems like Texas is big on that, especially like you go down there and you see a lot of like oil and gas wraps.
Yeah.
I know like Brian Knighton does a lot with Knighton Industries. And
Keith Combs had several sponsors do that. I mean, gas and oil.
You look at it and you're like, well, how is that selling? But it's not, and it's more like that. It's the relationships within it that you have an angler in your fold in your company.
So like those businesses are relationship businesses.
Yep.
So
like to bass fish down there, and
they love to bass fish. So if you own an oil and gas company and you have a customer who's a supplier, who's a great customer of yours, that's a way for you to show them some love. Dude, go fishing with Darold or whoever.
$multi-million deal with a couple days on.
Dude, I did a deal one time. I had a customer, and he told me ahead of time. He's like, "I'm bringing this dude. I want him in the front of the boat with you. I'm gonna be in the back, like help him, like
yeah."
And he sent me like a tip like a few weeks later, and he was like,
"Sealed the deal."
You wouldn't believe the number he told me, like $1 million contract, like millions of dollar contract. And all I did was fish the dude and have a good time. But it's all relationships. So I think there's a side of the guys that like just turn pro and don't guide and miss all that. Like the guiding stuff I know isn't always like, like sexy. It's like a lot of number. You have to go out a lot of days to make money. It's a grind, but you can make a lot of great relationships.
Clay said, Clay's on every show. Clay Williamson, great BTL supporter. He said, I knew a guy that kept a journal about all of his returning guys, what they ate, drank, what they talked about, said it helped keep his customers happy, which basically like keep it a log.
That seems like something Jimmy Mason would do or something like. They're way better than me at it.
Jimmy Mason's the Alabama guy.
Yeah.
Fish
Good buddy.
Elite Series for.
Yeah.
You know him, dude. That guy
we talked yesterday on the way up here.
Is the most. Jimmy Mason is in every. He pops up everywhere.
He's
like in commercials.
He's buttoned up. Wouldn't you say he's buttoned up? Like you know what you're getting out of him, dude. He works his butt off.
Dude, do you not see him show up all over social media, magazines, advertising, commercials, like everything? Jimmy Mason is on top of his game.
If he was on here right now, he would tell you like relationships. Like, that's what it's all about. And work ethic. Like those first few years guiding for me, dude, I did nothing other than like go to the lake and fish every day. I lived an hour from the lake.
You were saying that last night.
I took 6 years, didn't drink a beer, didn't play golf. I either guided or was preparing for whatever tournament I was fishing, because I fished everything down there then. For 6 years, I did nothing fun. Like I slept on I was telling you, like that's when I got my little dog Rowdy. And me and Rowdy took a whole lot of naps.
How'd you find Rowdy?
He come from my wife's grandparents. Someone gifted them 2 puppies. They only wanted to keep one, and they named him Rowdy because he was a little wild as a puppy. And so I goaded my wife into going and getting him like on a cold November or December night.
So this was you were the dog.
Oh yeah, I'm a dog. She is too, but I'm a sucker. I'd have like 50 of them up to me. But yeah, like I was like, they're making him sleep on the porch in the cold.
Aww.
I played that whole thing with her. And so she called her grandma and was like, if we come get Rowdy and foster him, will you bring, the other one's name was Leona, his sister, Leona. Rowdy, will you bring Leona inside if we come get Rowdy? And that was the deal. We went and got Rowdy and to foster him. That night he slept on me. I went to taught school the next day and come home. And she's like, oh, the UPS guy saw Rowdy and was interested. And I was like, you ain't selling my dog. I went like old Yeller. You ain't selling my dog. You ain't giving up my dog. So yeah, that was like 11 or 12 years ago. But every day I'd come home from Toledo Bend, like wore out in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. Me and Rowdy pile up on the couch, take a nap. So, but there was a grind portion of that for me. But I think Jimmy still does that. He goes like every day. I don't guide as much now.
Yeah, he's jamming it. You did
I will guide more this year.
You did a good podcast that I called you afterwards. You did the juice.
Yeah.
Where you talked about like t-shirt printing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's worth going checking out Gleason's episode of the juice. That's an East Texas podcast.
Yeah,
right?
Shane and Wyatt, 2 East Texas little hammers down there. Yeah, they're good dudes, man.
Yeah, that's a good podcast.
Yeah, Shane
check that out. It kind of goes more into your background and the grind. I hate to use that term. I hate
to say it because you don't feel like it's a grind when you're doing it. It's your damn dream. So I didn't feel it was just your life. It's what we choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hate using that word too. It gets overused, and I overuse it myself. But
was the ocean pony thing a cognitive? Not cognitive. Was it I don't know, what word am I looking for? Were you like, hey, I need some catch thing?
No. Okay. So that is just multiple crazy hours on the water with people. Like I had these guys, like somewhere I'm on the water one day with some guys and especially when you spend, let's say you go with these 2 guys twice a year for 3 years, 4 years, like you become buds, dude. And so, somewhere in there, like the running joke at Toledo Bend always for me was, because lots of my customers were like folks that fish shallow, and I'm introducing them how to fish offshore, that kind of stuff. Was like, why are we out here in the ocean? Why are we all so far away from the bank? Especially like Cajuns are like, bro, why aren't we up there throwing at them cypress trees? So just somewhere randomly because
I drew a Cajun at Sam Rayburn. He's like, well, I ain't never been out here before.
Yeah.
I was scoping out the
field. Dude, I could have guys in August. They're like, hey, what about them trees, bro? And I'm like, there's like 3 inches of water. The water's 90 degrees.
He's looking around. I had never been out here before, bro.
It's fun. So I got that all the time guiding, right? I had these dudes like, why are we out here in the ocean, man? What are we doing? And somehow that just popped out of someone's mouth one day, ocean pony. That's what we started calling. Yeah, that's what we started calling big ones. I don't remember if I said it, they said it. It just happened.
You got it on the hat now.
And it stuck. Yeah.
You said you got a hat like that for me?
Yeah, in my truck I did.
Dude, I have like 3 BTL hats left. I'll trade you.
I would take a BTL hat.
There's a couple. There's a couple.
Yeah, so we did like a Toledo Bend Home of the Ocean Pony hat. We did some shirts. There's a little merch drop my wife done last year, so kind of fun. But yeah, it just ended up being like the fun nickname for when you catch a big one offshore. It's kind of what I start calling them.
All right, hey, we're gonna take our first break of the show, and we come back. You want to talk about some like lures, some baits?
Yeah,
let's do that. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't had a good bait talk. It's BTL on a Tuesday. Darold Gleason in studio getting his rig rigged at the Bass Tank just up the road. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King. All right, guys, if you're a construction worker, soccer dad, soccer mom, you want to be outdoors, you've seen the Reaper. This right here is the zip-up full Reaper, but it's windproof, folks, windproof. And it actually has the mast built in. It's behind me. I mean, if you can look good, feel good, and stay warm, you better check it out. It's the zip-up Reaper. That's right, windproof.
Elite Series Pro Darold Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Tuesday with Darold Gleason. We have a slight, it's like a housekeeping issue, is what I would call that.
Yeah.
I noticed
it's an odd housekeeping issue.
Ran the Pro Guide battery commercial
Yeah.
there. Can we just dub? Is that what we've decided we're going to do?
Yeah, we're trying to decide. I think we should let the fans decide how we're going to do, because I introduced myself as Elite Series Pro.
Here, let me run it real quick again.
Elite
Just to
Series
start.
Pro.
Here
We got to
Elite Series Pro Darold Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me
do like when it says Elite, do I just say real loud like Elite Qualifier? Do I just throw in Qualifier, or do we say former Elite Pro?
I think I like
Relegated.
so
Elite
right
Pro.
before. So here we'll play.
I like
when the
relegated
music comes
Elite
in.
Pro, especially if I.
Elite Series Pro Darold Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep
Yeah, that works.
You see, like relegated Elite Pro. I think that would be okay. Yeah, we have to fix that. It's a little weird.
It might just be time
Hey,
for a new
No one wants that title.
Pro Guide spot.
We need to figure out a way to make a better title than former, because that's what you get introduced.
I'll
as
tell you
now.
what,
Former.
Opens EQ Angler.
Yeah.
It sounds
It's a
way
lot.
more professional than a guy who just pays $2,000 for an entry fee.
It does.
And
Which we all are fixing to gladly do.
Look at what you get.
Oh wait, you'll get a patch or something. A sticker. All
you
right.
get an Opens EQ
Yeah.
sticker.
See,
I mean, look how professional that was.
these are the things people don't get when you like. So now, if I reflect back on the last few years being a pro, like one of the perks is like all the stickers and free hats you get. I have hats for life.
Look at
sponsors.
that.
That like sponsors are like, I can't write you a check, but I give you some lures and a
I have
hat.
2 duffel bags of hats, and those are my go-tos.
I know. See, I don't keep that many because I give them away to folks.
You need-
Again,
do you have a
relationships.
way to store your hats that's that neat?
No, but
That is the deal. To
after
store
being in your
hats.
home for a night, like I want you to come stay at my house for a week and I want you to just redecorate, because like you're in order. You're a buttoned up guy in your home here.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's chaos in my house. Dude.
I appreciate that.
My garage chaos. Yours is much better. Although you did have several boxes and things on your boat I saw earlier that like look like you.
And cases of beer on the boat. It is
Yeah.
a holiday.
I don't want to call
season.
you out. He had cases of beer all over the boat and like 18-foot long crappie rods.
Yeah. So you got to go with the holiday cheer.
Yeah.
Whenever you can get a case of that, and then I got suckered into the Sam Adams holiday
Hadn't tried
tester
that one.
pack.
Hadn't tried that
Remind
one.
me to throw a couple of those in the fridge because they're out, and then you just get the standard the crappie drinking beer is Coors Light.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting my sticker next year. But yeah, that's a little weird.
Oh, here's a great idea. Someone wants the word relegated, but to have Mark Jeffries dub it over in his loud, aggressive.
I
Mark
like
Jeffries
that. See,
voice,
that's
so it goes
that-
relegated.
That puts like a BTL Bass Zone feel to it. Relegated. Because couldn't you see him getting fired up about like if he was here now, he'd be like, he's not an elite pro, dude. You got to change that commercial. He's no longer out there. Yeah, I like that. Let's see if we can get Jeffrey to that'd be cool.
It would. I just had him on the show.
I bet I
with,
could get
Mike
Carl, I
McClellan.
bet I could get Carl to do it.
How do you even say that?
Relegated.
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 So one of the first couple times I had Carl on, he was talking about
Yeah.
fishing in Florida.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he got beat into this backwater area by an aluminium boat. And he couldn't
Aluminium
get-
boat.
It was no joke, probably a year and a half later. And I didn't want to be an idiot. And it was on BTL with Jeffries.
I'll
And
be
it
like, what
just
are you talking
it
about?
never came back up to where I could be
Right.
like, is this one of those gambler Florida boats? You
Yeah,
know, they've
yeah.
got all
Like,
sorts
what
of
is an
weird 24-foot
Al-
boats down there. Aluminium.
aluminium? Okay.
And
That's
I thought
interesting.
it was like a a Florida flats boat
Right.
or something like, because you know
Yeah.
they've got you go
Yeah,
down there
yeah,
and there's
yeah.
all sorts of go fast,
Right.
big giant
Right.
24-foot, and it took me like a year before I realized that's how Aussies say aluminum.
That's funny. Carl's
Mhm.
such a good dude, man. Like
Yeah.
Carl, like him and his wife camped with us and stuff. So that was always really cool. But I didn't understand, like, because he said, like, when I got relegated, mate, like it was horrible. Like he was just trying to be nice, you know,
Yeah.
because he's experienced some of that stuff, right?
Yep.
But I didn't really get what relegated meant. Me and my wife just watched Ted Lasso. Good watch.
I need to watch.
One of the most fun characters on TV I've ever watched.
Really?
Yeah. Like very likable.
It's kind of, is it Anchorman-ish? Are there elements of Anchorman-ish in it?
Nah, I don't. There's some silliness there. It's weird. It's like because there's all this cussing and like odd stuff, but
Okay.
like all the storylines feel like Disney. But a cool character. But anyways, it's about soccer. So and they're in Europe, and so like you can go from like being in the one league and you can be relegated down a league based on your standings each year. So that's where the word relegated comes from.
Okay.
But it sounds more proper than former elite pro. Relegated.
I do know
Really
what
pro.
relegated means because we're talking about series.
Yeah.
So not a soccer fan or
Yeah.
football fan.
Yeah, I'm not either.
You know, but there is an FX series called Welcome to Wrexham
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it.
with
I hadn't watched
Ryan
it.
Reynolds
Yeah.
and they always make fun because it's always Ryan Reynolds and the other guy and I can't remember.
Isn't he like one of the owner? He owns a soccer
They
team.
both bought
Yeah. Okay.
a soccer club in
Right,
the
right.
5th division
Yeah.
that had gotten relegated, Wrexham,
Yeah.
and they're trying to get
Build
them
them
up
up.
through the
So
ranks.
that's like part of the storyline for Ted Lasso right there. Like really cool show. Me and my wife have been looking for something to watch. You got any suggestions out there? Throw it at us. But we
Scott
like
suggests Lure Chucker Darold Gleason.
Lure Chucker.
Lure Chucker Darold Gleason.
That's a good one. I can handle that.
Lure Chucker.
I don't always catch them, but I cast at them a lot. It
Yeah.
could be. But anyways,
Yeah,
that's
welcome
where
to Wrexham. Well worth a watch.
cool. I have to watch that.
Yeah. You can
And I'm
pay
not
me.
into soccer now that I watched Ted Lasso, but his character was like, it was a very positive, fun, good couple show to watch. Like I enjoyed it.
There's a question earlier. I get asked this question a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You love those videos?
Yeah.
Your favorite lure that is now out of production?
Huh. That's tough. I'm not
Because you throw a lot of different stuff. Than like the Ozarks, there's a ton
right.
of out of production stuff. That
Yeah, crankbaits and jerkbaits.
yeah.
I'm not a huge guy on all that stuff, dude. I'm not.
Oh, you're not a lure junkie?
I'm not super crazy about it. No. I'm really not. No, so like, yeah, I'm just not. I'm not. I don't collect a lot of old lures. I don't have like old wiggle warts.
So like none of this stuff gets you going.
I think it's cool. I get it. I think it's cool, but it's never been my thing. Like
Mm-hmm. If you think it's just because of where you grew up and fish, like you didn't
maybe so.
need to do that stuff. I mean,
I don't
what
know
do you need? What do you need? If you were to just do the basic Rayburn Toledo bag
like-
box right now.
Deep crankbait, Carolina rig, football jig, and I'm gonna say rattle trap, but a lipless crankbait, that
Mhm.
kind of deal. And now obviously a jackhammer. Like I could get
Jackhammer.
by with all that for quite a while.
No drop shot.
I was gonna say throwing a drop shot, but I'm in the room with you, so you got to. But no, we catch the crap out of them on drop shots down there. But to like win tournaments, if I was back fishing
If someone
team
came-
tournaments, I wouldn't throw a
listen,
drop shot.
right now, if someone just said, I have 0 lures in my box, I'm fishing Toledo and
Yeah.
Rayburn for the next 5 years,
That's probably the stuff I would.
and I
think.
got $5,000, or let's say 10
Yeah.
grand.
I'd say like spend like $5,000 in egg sinkers, 1 ounce egg sinkers for your Carolina rig.
So you throw the
Football-
rig a lot.
I do. I call it the double splash. I love the double splash rig. Like I won the open double splash. And
Help me get confidence in it. What do I need to do to get confidence in that?
put your other crap down and throw it some. That's all it is, dude. Like when I learned how to throw a football jig, it was hard for me because I loved Carolina rigging. So I literally like went with a buddy, actually my brother-in-law, and said, we're not going to do anything but throw a football jig. And I went to where I'll catch on a Carolina rig and threw a football jig. And was like, and that was like such a aha light bulb moment because casting jigs, dragging a football jig, you don't feel as much as you do with a Carolina rig.
You're 3 feet from feeling anything that's going on with the Carolina
I
rig.
feel everything with a Carolina rig. Once you throw it, like it's different, dude.
You lead or tungsten?
Lead, straight lead, because I lose so many of them. And the other part of that too is I think part of the appeal of a Carolina rig is the bottom disturbance of your weight dragging, like the mud being disturbed on the bottom and the rock moving and making noises. So I want something bigger, a big egg sinker.
So like, are we talking like a legit catfish egg sinker that you go in and
a
there's
1 ounce
bucket of them in the
yeah,
tackle
1
store
ounce
and you just
circular
scoop 'em up
big
and they're
egg
30
sinker.
cents each.
Yep. I buy them like crazy.
You don't have any specific insert through it or anything. You just thread it
No,
on.
no. Occasionally I'll get one that wants to go over my swivel. Like the hole's too big to go over your swivel. So I have to crimp it down, or I'll put a bobber stopper over it or something to help
Doesn't
with that.
matter whether it's soft. Like, I mean, there's different densities.
No.
You just want.
I want a
something that weighs
lead
an
egg
ounce.
sinker. And that was from like all those years guiding and fishing tournaments down there.
Oh yeah, I guess you don't want guys.
You can't be, I can't be bombing tungsten around all that timber on Toledo Bend. Right. But I do. I think there's something to, so just think about a 1 ounce tungsten, the size of it, and a 1 ounce egg sinker. Which one's going to move more mud on the bottom or make more of a disturbance? So I just think about a crawfish crawling on bottom or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think there's something about that strikes a curiosity of a bass. Maybe it's in my head. If it is, that's fine. But in my head, I think something about that disturbance on the bottom gets their attention.
Okay, so you're going. You care? Let's run through it.
Yeah.
Are you just like 20-pound fluoro on your main?
15 to 20, depending on if I'm in open water, I'll throw 15 because I can throw it further. I use the 8-foot Falcon. I went through the plethora of Falcon rods. Now I'm on the 8-foot Super Duty because it can launch them a mile, and the hook set is so easy. You think it's hard with the 8-foot. So like one of the things scares people about setting the hook with a Carolina rig is when you set the hook, when you pull, the first thing moves is the weight, not the hook.
Right.
So a lot of times you barely hook the
So
fish.
it's like this, and then you pull, and the weight goes like this.
Yeah, you have to jerk hard enough on a Carolina rig. That's why you see the guys kind of sweep and lean into it, because you got to move the weight initially, but yet still drive the hook home.
Yeah.
So it takes a big boy hook set. That rod does a lot of the work for me. I'm not a big boy, really.
Just takes up a lot more line. So when you go
a lot
from
more
here to
slack,
here with
yeah.
an 8-footer
And I
as
do my
opposed to a
little
7-footer.
I call it the reverse golf swing. You know, in golf you kind of follow through.
Mhm.
I do the reverse step back. I don't go full Ike and run to the back deck, but like the full lean into it kind of thing. But I get why he does that too. Like, taking up slack is the best way to land more fish on your hook sets. Not jerking harder, not spending more money on tackle or hooks. Taking up the slack is the biggest thing I see from folks in my boat. They don't fish often. That if they're missing fish, that's the biggest thing, is they don't get it tight enough
to the fish until it's tight before sweeping into it.
Yes, but also the step back method, using your lower body to help you with your hook set. Like,
okay.
I say reverse golf swing. Golf, you follow through right toward the ball. This, you follow through away. And I'm saying that guys don't realize the sound difference when you slackline one versus like on a Carolina rig. You don't want to slackline them, because if you slackline them, all you did was move the weight. You got to
Fish
take it up
here, and all the weight does is go boop, and you're done.
That's about it. And you're going to hook that fish. You'll come up and jump one time and come off. So you really got to that's what I love about it. It's kind of like
Randy's on here. She says it's the hottest hook set on camera.
Oh, she loves it. Yeah, because you lean back into it. Like if you get these shots where you're on your tiptoes, you're lean back. She says that because she thinks I have a great butt. And she likes when I'll lean back, showing that off. But no, it's different. It's different for everyone has something that's their bugaboo, right?
Yeah.
But that's definitely not mine. If you wanted to go Carolina rigging on Rayburn, or Toledo Bend, you would get it in a heartbeat. It's the easiest thing. That's the easiest technique for me to teach someone that's never fished. Like when you say you can't feel anything, you feel everything.
Easier than having them throw a drop shot out on a spinning rod and say,
"Yep." I swear it is. But now the hook set's still hard to teach people. The drop shot hook set's obviously much easier. The hook set still, there's a timing to it. But you could literally go out and throw a Carolina rig behind the boat, and we used to catch them drifting the grass flats on Toledo Bend. So March, April, when the grass is starting to creep up, it's not matted out grass. It would be 3 or 4 foot in 12 foot of water.
So what are they sitting down in the grass? Or are they above the grass and go down into
both?
it?
They're just around the grass in general.
Just sitting there.
Now this is pre-forward sonar days and all that kind
of
of stuff, right? But you go out on housing community flats, and it's half a mile of grass flats. How you cover that, right? Especially if it's 4 footers, how you cover it?
Just drift it like you do, like you're on the St. Lawrence River.
You literally would do that. We used to use drift socks. Me and my club boys back in the days would have drift socks like they used to use for smallmouth. Looks like a big parachute out the back of the boat.
Oh, Scalish is going to have to listen to this episode.
He would love it. Yeah, I would carry 2 drift socks. On those days, it was 4 or 5 footers. Most of the terms I fished back then were trailer. So we could trailer and launch where we want to. where there's a club tournament, team tournament. And yeah, so you'd like go out and make this big drift across the grass flat. Now then we're using like lead, but like 3/8, half ounce.
Lights, because you don't want it to get
Yeah,
bogged.
but we'd literally throw it out and let your boat drift, like get your timing right. Just like you're talking about, like drifting in current. And you like get your weight right, your speed right, your angle right, where it's getting hung in the grass some, but it's not balling up. And you'd make these long, like, dude, 1,000-yard drifts. Like,
oh, you just keep feeding along. Oh, your
No.
drift would be 1,000 yards.
yeah, you
I
would like
gotcha.
feed out your line
Yeah.
and you go through and you
10
feel
football
every
field.
once in a while you feel you get hung in the grass, you'd pop it out. And a lot of times you get your bite. But you would do that and, you know, you didn't catch one. So when you crank back up, you run into the wind, you'd move over 100 yards, 200 yards. That drift, you catch 3. So you run back and you do that drift again, like over and over.
So it's like Great Lakes fishing.
It was very similar. That's why I really thought I would do better at smallmouth fishing, but
Yeah.
I haven't figured the drifting thing out because it's rock and you stay hung a lot. So I haven't dialed that in yet. But yeah, back in the day we did that. But it was just a great way to cover those grass flats whenever you're wanting to throw a plastic.
Yep.
Not a crankbait. Obviously, I know you can go throw a DT10 or something and cover water, right?
Mhm.
But that was always a cool thing we did. But yeah, so the Carolina rig for me is just something that it's your drop shot. Like how you feel about a drop shot. I love a
Did
Carolina
someone
rig.
teach you that? Like, do you have a Carolina rig mentor?
I wouldn't say I have a mentor, but the club I fish with, West Central Bass Club, West Central Louisiana Bass Club, a bunch of those boys were Carolina riggers and did it and stuff. And in East
They just had 3 of them rigged, and that's what they were.
oh
doing
yeah,
back
it's
then.
ridiculous. Like it's all we'd have out, like 3 rods. We
Lizard.
yeah, lizard. They were big on the flukes back in the day. They
Just
loved
a
the fluke.
straight.
Yeah, I love throwing fluke style baits on there, like the way it kind of glides behind a Carolina rig.
See, I don't think it glides. I think it just drags in the
I
muck
don't.
behind the
I don't.
bottom. Like the guys who see rig,
Yeah.
have this beautiful concept of this bait down
Hey,
there,
and don't you
just
ruin
kind
it.
of bringing in.
I
the
don't think
bait
it's
with
way
the
above.
sound,
Yeah.
and then this fluke that's just
Right.
darting and
Right.
fluttering.
Yeah.
No, cast that thing out in a pool. The bait's on the bottom.
I bet in a pool it is. 'Cause
All
there's,
it's doing
there's no
is
current or structure in a pool.
nicking
so
the
it's-
line and getting caught on junk, and then the bait is dragged behind
So-
in the gunk with zero movement whatsoever on it. It's amazing that anyone's ever caught one on it.
Here's my advice to you is when you feel that negative about something, it's never going to work for you. Never. I couldn't take you and reform you because you have a strong opinion on
Yeah.
it between your ears. So what does that tell us about bass fishermen? Most of it's between our ears.
Oh, 100%. Look at what
1000%.
Koya and
1000%.
Taco and those guys
Yeah.
have come with stuff that we're like, I'd never catch a bass on.
I would
Earth.
never
And they're
throw
like,
the
not
fuzzy
only will I
dice.
catch a bass, we'll
Right.
beat your ass with it.
Right. But like what you're saying right now, people in East Texas, like Rayburn, Toledo, Bend area are like, they would love for you to come fish tournaments against them because they'd whoop your butt on a Carolina rig, dude. They just would.
What fish eat a Carolina rig that won't eat a drop shot on a 1/2 ounce weight and a 6-inch worm with a 8-inch leader?
I don't know. I don't know how to classify those fish. I just know if you come fish 10 tournaments down there and you fished your style and pick whoever to go out and drag his Carolina rig, I would put my money on him. Not to say you won't catch fish on a drop shot. You'll catch plenty of fish. Like, I'm not saying you won't. I drop shot a ton. Love it. Just for whatever reason. And I don't even say it's regional. But again, I think the biggest thing is between your ears. Like it's something I'm confident with.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
fishing it
No,
different.
I 100% agree.
I'm fishing it different than you
Yeah.
would. You're going to throw it 10 times and cuss it the whole time, right? If I was throwing a fuzzy dice under a dock on 2-pound line, I'd feel the same way. I'd be
Yeah.
like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I love it. Now, when that's one of your favorite things and you decide to turn pro and hit the road, you don't get to use it a lot on the road. You don't do a lot of Carolina rigging around the country.
You didn't Carolina rig at Champlain?
I actually did. It let me down. I caught some big ones in practice and in tournament, which you can say that when you have a bad one about everything. But yeah, I thought going in the tournament, that's how I really like catch if I were to catch a 20-pound bag, Carolina rigging, I think I was throwing a little speed crawl. That's obviously a big smallmouth thing, a little speed crawl, but like in real deep water, dude, like 50 foot,
Oh, wow.
like real deep.
I mean, boosh, and then just.
I went and bought some 1.5-ounce weights for that. But same deal, kind of drifting like 40, 50 foot flats. Fish there were like, some of the areas there, I felt like when it was super windy, they didn't seem to roam as bad. Does that make sense? You know, that's the whole deal at Champlain now. They get out in 50 foot and roam. But I felt like on the days when there's like 7 footers that some of them get on the bottom and there's a little current. So I could kind of do my drift thing.
but it didn't work in the tournament, obviously.
All right, we've made it to the weight.
Yeah.
Pete wants to know. We gotta go through the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay. Weight, swivel. I do the 2-way swivel.
No bead.
I'm not a bead guy, really.
What did you say that? No bead.
The only time I used the bead was when I was up north fishing. And when I go up north fishing, generally when I'm fishing rock, I use tungsten because then I don't want the big disturbance. I want the noise, and I want tungsten to come through the rock. I think tungsten comes through the rock better than
because it's
lead.
harder.
It's harder.
Grab, so it's
more likely to pop off instead of grab. So that is the one prerequisite there. When I'm up there, I do that. And
okay, but you go lead straight to the swivel.
I know it's so boring.
Dudes
that would like hire me and like, I want to learn the Carolina rig. When I rigged it up, they're like, what the crap? Because it's straight lead egg sinker, 2-way swivel. Usually I would use like 15-pound leader.
Whoa, specific swivel? Like, are you have to have?
I'm not tied to one. I like Spro makes a really good little swivel.
Okay, so you want a good ball bearing swivel.
I do like a good swivel, but dude, I'll go buy the $1.69 little brass swivels in a heartbeat and throw them on there.
And then what knot are you using? Because you got that dang lead banging up against it.
Palomar.
Just a straight Palomar.
Straight Palomar.
You're just going ounce lead, straight Palomar, 15 to 20 pound test swivel.
Yep. And a lot of times I would do like some of my buddies, they would do like a 20-pound main leader, but then 15-pound on their other leader. So when they got hung, they would just break off and lose the hook and not all their weight.
That's how I thought everyone did it.
A lot of times I just go like, it's boring. I go like 15-15. I don't care.
So you just cut a bigger stretch off before you
use an egg sinker and a little cheap swivel. It's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So yeah, I could just pull a stretch off my line. I don't have to have another spool of line handy. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And then hook, generally a 4/0 hook.
EWG
is fine. EWG. I'm an EWG guy.
Thin wire or super line?
I don't go super. Regular, because it's the biggest bugaboo due to me on the Carolina rig is penetrating that hook way away from your boat. Again, I'm using an 8-foot rod, 1 ounce weight. Like, I'm a big believer too. Like this year I use Seagar Tatsu. Pretty thin. Like I think thin helps you get it further away from the boat. I think the further away that your lure is from the boat, and I know it's scary for some guys because you can't see what's going on sonar, but like I've already side scanned or down scanned whatever and seniors fishing this area. The further I can be away from them, I feel like that increases my opportunities for them to be surprised and bite. So we're talking like bomb casts. So like more of my setup is I know I'm going to get the bite. So I need to do the things to help me get that fish in the boat. So the rod, the hook, all that's important. And I really don't have like this year I used BKK. They were really good, good kind of new hook. But in the past I used Gamgatsu, like not really super tied into it. I did have good success with BKKs. I really liked them, but a 4/0 EWG works, you know, generally speaking for all around stuff. If I'm using a larger creature bait or something, I may go to a 5. If I'm up north throwing for smallmouth, I go down to a little 3, but I still use EWG.
Are you big shark? So the old school sea riggers, big chartreuse tail guy?
Yeah, chartreuse tail it off. It's green pumpkin or watermelon.
Every time.
Every time. In fact, I use the little spike it spray. I wish they would just send me like 24 bottles a year. They make a spray. You hold your bait up. Done. Because, well, like when you're guiding, the first time someone spills one of those, or a co-angler, whoever spills like the old little jug. Yeah. But now I have noticed I've gotten away from it. Like I've experimented. So like now when I guide, like I guided a bunch this fall, right? The dudes in my boat, once we go to catching fish, they fish. I mean, one day I sit on the back, they bought me they bought me a box of fried chicken.
Really?
I sit on the back.
Sat back and ate fried chicken while they smoked them.
But I put my butt on my Yamaha, crossed my legs, and it had a bucket of chicken going to town on it while they were bombing Carolina rigs. So I don't fish as serious now, like it's their fishing show, right? Yeah. That's how I see it. So, but so when I do fish, I'll do things like it's a big deal. I won't die the tail. When I catch one, I'm like, oh, maybe it don't matter. But I still, if I was in a tournament, I'd die the tail every time.
We've got a lot of diehard Day 4 fans here, that was an awesome.
Yeah.
And Frank is sold on braid as his main line, like uses it Dagner exclusive.
So I wouldn't argue with him because I have a weird philosophy on fishing techniques and stuff. Like if that's what he thinks and he has success, I'm not arguing with him. I've had customers. So like I had some folks come to me for years. And the wife loved to catch a lot of fish. She couldn't handle a big 8-foot rod. That's another thing I'm going to talk about probably my socials a little this year is like rod choices. Like I can say I use this rod for Carolina rig. I'm 6 foot. I'm a dude. If you're a 5'8" dude, or if you're a 6'8" guy, like me and Hallman talked about some of that since both
You
of
could
us.
go to an 8.5 or a 7.5.
Yeah, we talked about Falcon a little bit. Like, what rod do you flip with? And we used 2 different rods. I found that unique. That
Yeah, you think.
you do. But anyways, I would always have braid with her and a little flimsier rod.
And that way she could drive the hook home because there's less stretch.
And I went a little flimsier rod to help her with her, so you don't rip the hook
Franco's
for you. What is
braid
Frank's
to
reasoning?
mono. More feel
To float it.
less.
I've heard people
Well, yeah, and then it also is a little bit of the shock absorption.
Yeah,
on the hook
yeah.
set.
Helps with the hook set. That's
But
fine.
That's just what he does.
So I'm weird about that. Like, if he believes in that, like, so I look at when we talk about like fishing tips or styles or techniques, I look at that like a buffet. When I look at a buffet, there's a few things on there I'm gonna like that you're not gonna touch, and vice versa. So you got to kind of find in all these tips and things out there, you got to go use it and see what clicks for you.
Weird
what
braid.
works.
Remember Terry Butcher?
Yeah.
Threw his Colorado blades on braid. Said
How to feel the thump.
you could feel the freaking thump like nobody's
sense.
business. I did a couple stories with him on that. Where
You could have the same conversation with like your rattle trappers, grass fishing.
No, 100%.
A lot of dudes.
Fritz was cranking with braid.
A lot of dudes throw 30-pound braid on their rattle trap, or I've heard dudes like with a jackhammer throwing braid because they can feel it good. That's fine. I'd feel too much with it to me.
You're not big on floating plastic versus sinking plastic versus plastic with salt, without salt. Like, you don't care about the buoyancy of that bait when you're Carolina rigging?
No, that's not a ton. To me, I just want it to be like a color that I believe in, a shape I believe in. I feel like when you're dragging the bait, or if you're in the wind and the current and all that stuff, I don't feel like it's on the bottom. And even if it is, it works. So I don't want to be proven wrong. Just in my head, that's what works for me.
19 Open that you won on Toledo Bend, Carolina rig playing that?
Big time. Yeah. I shared a picture on social media a couple, 2 weeks ago or something about I'm going back to the Opens, and it was this picture of me holding this big one. Andy Crawford, big shout out. He was there for that moment. That was my 5th fish that day. It was a 7-pounder on Carolina rig. Yeah. Yep. Just fishing a hard spot.
2020 Open on Rayburn that you finished 5th in Carolina.
No, that was a
rig
football
playing?
jig, brush pile thing.
Okay.
I
Do
used
you chuck them in brush piles? I've heard you talk about is hard spots with the Carolina rig.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I'm not taking a bunch of customers there to do that, because you'll go through like 2,000 yards of line in a day, because it's a lot harder. There's a lot of feel. You almost like swim it through there, if that makes sense. Like, you kind of reel the weight into the brush pile and kind of work it through a little quicker. But generally, if it's brush pile, I'm throwing a football jig.
I'm looking at
or a drop shot. I will throw a drop shot up in a brush pile. But yeah, like, it's a regional type thing. I get it, but
it's not regional.
You can learn a lot about like Florida, dude. It's real popular in Florida. Carolina rig is
massive.
Fishing shell beds, grass.
Peter T, what he's done with the PD rig.
Yeah.
And that was a fluke.
Okay, here's one for you.
Watching him on Onondaga, and
so I did at Seminole, had a good event at Seminole this year. Finished 30 something. Some of that was sight fishing, but one thing I like to do when fish are spawning around pad stems, you can't always see them every day because it's so windy and stuff, right? I have a little thing I do, and I'm not the only one that does it.
Oh, I've seen you do this. This is what you were doing at Ross Barnett.
Little split shot. I do the split shot.
This is what you were doing at Ross Barnett when you went past. Remember when I was sitting on that patch that I lost all those fish on?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you do. We're on Ross Barnett. We were in that bay. The guys who were leading it were about 500 yards down. There were 40 people in the bay. I was on the patch of grass. I lost 3 out of it. Was teaching the whole bay new words.
Yeah.
And you came by and were like, "You having fun, Panger?" And you were casting that little split shot rig as you went by.
So, and generally when I do that, it's a like a fluke style bait.
Yeah, you were in shallow pads, 2.5, 3 foot of water.
Yeah, it was fun. After like Seminole, I caught so basically trying to catch spawning fish that I know are in the area, but you can't see. Sometimes I'll actually, like at Seminole, like after I troll through an area, I'm like, oh, there was a big one on the point, but I scared him. I'll come back an hour later and just bomb to that point with that split shot. So the thought there is the little split shot. When we say split shot, I'm talking about like what you would use for like pan fishing, like brim fishing.
What we're fixing to use today.
And I put it, let's say a foot above the,
just to get the bait
just
down.
above it gets the bait down. So think about when you hop it through, it kind of like comes through the bed. And a lot of times a split shot will bump the pad stem and kind of get hung. And when it does that, your bait back there, 12 to 14 inches or whatever, it's almost weightless. So on the days like where it's a little windy and I can't see them on beds, I would throw a straight weightless bait, but it wouldn't glide right. It wouldn't get down. It would just kind of float in the wind. So yes, but I did that at Seminole split shotting, and
I'm pulling this up on just like
Yeah.
like that little pack of water gremlin
Yeah.
lead deals that you
Yeah.
turn the
And look,
dial and pull your
size
split
don't matter.
shot
You
size
just
out.
like size matters in a few things in life, but not on split shots.
Yeah.
If you get one too light, add an extra split shot, and don't worry about the whole crimping it on there, like breaking your line. Like I use 20 pound in the pads at Seminole, like thick pads, and the reason I do the split shot though is the way it hangs up and it allows you to feel it. Like a lot of times you would throw a weightless Cinco, right?
Yeah.
But it sucks the bow in your line and all that stuff
no
on a windy
idea
day.
what's going on.
So I could kind of get that in what I think is a fishy looking area, hole in the pads, or even a point where I saw some fish. And as I kind of pull it through, like your split shot to catch every once in a while, when it catches on a pad stem, your bait kind of does its thing down. And to me, in spawn fishing, generally, if you can surprise them and keep something in their zone, like it. So that was a fun tournament because I shared some water with other anglers. It was cool to tell. I won't say who it was, but like, because one of the days he kicked my butt, like swim jigging, like fishing fast, he kicked my butt. But on day 3, he was like, dude, I ain't catching. I was having like the best day. So after the tournament, I told him what I was doing. He's like, dude. Because I mean, like, come on, dude. It's not like something you hear a lot of pros. I'm out there split shotting a soft jerk bait.
That's what you see the dude when you idle under the bridge that he's chucking.
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
towards the
Those
pond.
guys are making fun of guys doing that, but I'm doing it. And I'm like, but like I use 20 pound fluoro on that. So you got to be a little careful when you hook them.
Mhm.
You don't do the grill hook set and like there's a thing you can do there, like where you kind of fight them and lead them. You don't like, because I caught like a 4 or 5 pounder in the pads. You don't like.
Walk me through that.
So your hook set is like, you can kind of get in on them on the hook set a little bit. But then as far as fighting them, the more you do, like if me and you grabbed the rope and just pulled as hard as we could, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, right?
Mhm.
But it's going to end quick.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So what I try to do, like, especially in that, if I'm not using braid around thick pads, you almost try to like lead them out of everything. It's hard. It's like
Stick them, drive the hook home, and then
drive the hook home. And it's kind of, but now trolling motor on 10, hauling butt to them while this is
So
going
you're
on.
following it and you're just kind of getting to
You're
them.
kind of reeling the slack and letting them do their thing. Where if you got them jumping out of the water and they're flip flopping and all that, you're going to get a tangled mess, right?
Yeah.
So here it is. They may swim around a pad, but it's like your line went one direction. Where if you jerk and they come up all over, you get all that craziness, and then they're pinned, and that don't end well a lot of times because they sit there and flop and get off.
Which is hard. That's hard to do.
It is.
I had Pete Glusick on yesterday.
Yeah.
And he did a Bass University. He was talking about Hackney was talking about flipping grass for smallmouth.
Uh-huh.
And he said let me see if I can get this right. He was impressed because Hackney said the best way to hook smallmouth in grass when you're flipping, we're talking Oneida.
Yeah.
Where do you win?
Cayuga,
that type of thing is they're so aggressive that the moment they feel pressure, they want to clamp down on it even more.
Right.
He goes, and you reel into them and you never hose them.
Right.
And he
Is
said
that
that's
because
the
they
hardest.
open their mouth?
Yeah. So you either blow it out of their mouth when they go like that, you don't hook them, or you can just lean into them real and they clamp.
They're not going to let them go. They hold on harder,
and,
which drives the hook home. Yeah.
But it's kind of that same principle where it goes against everything against you, where you
a little.
want
It is.
to jack them and get them through that grass and get them to the boat, but you're better off.
Just kind of ease them through it, because so to me, when you get them like, and I'm thinking pad stems are like, they're brutal to get fish out of. But when you get one to come up and jump in pads, like if I'm throwing a frog on braid, it's different. You got to churn them. I get it. But like in this situation, like especially in the spring, a lot of times the pads aren't all the way up full. It's not such a tangled mess. It's really just stems. So think of it like it was like if it was light timber or light bushes or something. Like with fluoro, I have better luck kind of easing them. I'd say easing them because it's not like you're just like.
What rod are you using in that scenario? You're not still using the 8, are you?
No. It's a 7.2 swim jig rod. It's like one of my favorite all around.
Like a medium heavy.
Cara. Yeah, like a medium heavy. It does a lot of things. Got a little tip on it. Like any rod you would throw like a spinnerbait on.
Okay.
Something like that.
Like
Like
it's backbone to it.
It's got a little backbone.
A little softer tip.
Yeah. But you're just not meat hauling them out of there. You just kind of, it's more of a finesse way of getting them in the boat. But you're trolling up there on high and all that stuff. And if they do, and what happens to me is if they do get pinned, it takes longer for them to get pinned. So what happens to me is if like I make a long cast, jack him, he comes up, flips over, everything gets all hung up, right? And he's 70 foot from the boat. Now I got to try to get to him while he's shaking. And a lot of times they wear the hole and get loose. So to me, what I'm talking about is if he does end up pinned, you've had more time. You're closer to him by the time he gets pinned. So little things, dude. You know, that's what it comes down to. Like,
yeah, but that's stuff that you can only learn from experience.
It is.
I mean, it's nice to hear it and stuff, but I mean, the real reason you know that is because you've jacked them 70 feet out and
lost
6
them and lost
pounders
them. Like,
cartwheel multiple times
and
been like, okay, we got to reevaluate some stuff.
So how do you learn that? So this is the biggest thing I try to teach on guide trips, especially when I get high school kids now.
Yeah.
We'll go out and like be on a school of fish and we're catching 2-pounders. And every time, dude, like, I get it because I used to be there. I've been
Bassmaster just came out with their Hook Set of the Year awards. We're not ripping on hook sets or anything, but I mean, it's glorified slackline in these suckers and boat flip.
But like, even the fight of a fish, though, like, I always find it fascinating. And again, I've done every step in fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been the wannabe who wants to be somebody. I've tried to get through it all and fish some very high ranks now. So, but like, I'm gonna say kids, but even whoever doesn't get to fish, they have a 9 to 5. When we hook a fish as someone who's not super experienced, I think in our heads, we think he's going to weigh more the quicker we get him in. Like, he's not. If it's a 2-pounder, he's going to be 2-pounder now or 30 seconds from now. So one of the things I try to do, like, especially like trying to help folks land more fish, is learn to fight them, take their time a little bit.
I'm not there. I am the exact opposite. Right?
You try to get them in, don't you?
I am a big proponent of keeping the fish moving towards the boat and not giving them any time. So I will go up and this year was my, now granted, I didn't hook many big fish this year, Darold, so don't hold that against me. But
was it this year or last year? You told me you boat flipped a big one. You boat flipped one in Florida. Was that last year?
Like a 7 3/4, but that was 60-pound test braid.
Right.
But
that situation, I agree.
2 years ago, I lost. I went through a phase where I was petrified to hook a big one because I would lose it. This past year,
you felt like you played them too much?
Yes. I said, I am bringing every fish I hook to the boat. And if I break them off, I break the dang things off. And my hook to land ratio
went up
because I wasn't missing them on the hook set and I wasn't breaking them off. I was losing them 3/4 of the way through the fight. Right when you start to think about sitting down. And we're talking about like,
no, trust me,
make the Elite Series caliber fish in 6 or 7 of the 9 tournaments.
I went through what you're talking about with the smallmouth. Like,
it was
lost them
miserable. Like, I would hook one and I would be like, oh my God, why isn't this just a 2 3/4 that I could get in the boat because I need
I hate that it's a 5. Please.
Yes. And that is not the right mindset.
No, it's
but
not.
That's what the first thing you think. I wonder how I'm going to lose this.
I'm like, oh, it's another 4-pounder. I wonder how he's going to get away.
And every time they make a move, you're going, no.
Right.
But this year, I kept the hook points moving towards me. I kept the fish reeling. I said, I'm either going to break them off. And I got so many more fish. I say I was 90.
So it kind of goes back to what we said about lures for that. That works for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I find some people they're on the other spectrum. They get it too fast to the boat and they don't have the fish handling skills now that you have, right? When you get down there and he goes to doing his thing, you've landed enough fish by hand.
Yeah.
So you're better than like the novice angler, right? So they get down there and they're at war with this like pissed off fish who's not ready to be caught. You know, so there's a balance for everybody there. I try to help people slow it down a little bit. I find that helps. It's easy to speed up. Everybody wants to speed up, but
it's true.
But this is fishing to me. Like anytime we talk about stuff like this, you're going to say A works for you.
Potato,
and I'm like,
potato,
I don't do it that way.
Dozen the other.
But it all goes back to your confidence, dude. That's what I think.
I'll take a final break of the show. When we come back, wrap things up. We got crappie to catch. So
can't wait.
BTL on a Tuesday. Darold Gleason in studio. We'll be back right after this.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips. So if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it. The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, we are wrapping things up here. BTL on a Tuesday. Darold Gleason in studio. Thank you for making that. It's like an hour drive, right at an hour.
Yeah, from the Bass Tank. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, much appreciated.
No, it's awesome, dude.
And then we're going to go out. So this year, full disclosure, 0 for 1 on crappie trips. Last time I went, I saw 2 in 4 hours.
That ain't what I wanted to hear.
At a different lake.
So you haven't told me this. I thought we were going to catch, and I call them, like Cajun folks call them sacalay.
Yeah.
And then I call them cropalay. That's
a
like
little mix.
a little mix of East Texas and Cajun cropalay. So that's so if there was a guy trip and someone coming and like, yeah, I've only went bass fishing once and it wasn't good. That's not a good way to start.
But here's the thing.
You're setting the bar low though.
No, you need water that's below 50 degrees. And last week it was 51.
Okay.
So
we're on the brink.
That should help. We need stable weather for at least 3 days, which we've had.
Yeah.
Which we didn't have last time I went.
So now you're backing yourself in a corner.
No,
now
I'm
I'm
not.
starting to expect
So there
greatness.
was some turbidity in the water.
Yeah.
That put the fish more on the bottom. And we need high skies, sun, which we've got, which I had last time, but I didn't have some other factors in my favor. And then we need light wind, which it blew 20 the last time I was out on the water.
Right. So it was,
and we're going to a lake that has a higher density population, less chance of a 3+ pounder, more chance of a 2.5 to 3 pounder.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what my biggest crappie is because we don't, in my part of the world, we don't weigh.
And I know you've probably caught some gargantuans.
Yeah, especially last few years playing with Ford Sonar, like on Toledo Bend, like on jerk baits and stuff. Like some monsters in the spring will eat a jerk bait, dude.
Yeah.
Like
I caught them there in April when we were there on the, you see a tree in 30 foot of water and there's like 3 or 4 and you get a weighted jerk bait down there.
I caught some a couple years ago. I think we're spawning like in 6 foot of water on a stump. There's like 8 of them around it.
All like that.
I caught the whole family.
Yeah. Are they like that or like that?
I mean, somewhere. I don't know. Like that. They're big.
Were you like, that's a freak show crappie or were you like, it's a big crappie?
I felt like it was over 2 pounds. Yeah, for sure. I was like, that thing's huge.
Well, hopefully we'll put some on the scales today. We got the,
I didn't put them on the scales. In my part of the world, we put them into grease.
Anything over 2 goes back in the pond.
I think for what you like, that kind of stuff's going to be different for me. It'd be fun.
Yeah. We're going to go try it.
So I get excited over one, like a 2.5 pounder. I get excited about. That's a big one.
I thought it was funny because we were like, anything over 2.5. It's a good big one.
Okay.
I'd give us 50% chance on that.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. And then we were talking about going and you were like, hell yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, it's something different.
You're like, I never get to go fishing with other people.
No, I'm the guide. Yeah. Now, and I say that like, like Swindle took me a couple times out on tour. It was fun. I don't get invited a lot to just come sit in the boat. Like I had a buddy a couple years ago. I come home from being gone like in August, and there's a little team term. He's like, "You want to fish, dude?" I'm like, "Dude, I ain't been on the water." He's like, "I have." I'm like, "We'll go in your boat. I'll sit in the back. You tell me where to throw my worm." Like,
I love doing that.
I do too. I don't get invited to do it very often. So when I do, I'm like, yeah, I'm like going to step in mud, get in your carpet. I'm going to be the worst dude ever. I'm going to eat all your snacks, drink everything in the boat. But mostly for me, it's fun when you do that to turn it off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're always the guy on the troll.
Just enjoy being on the water without.
Like I'm the dude.
Oh my God, we're sucking.
Yeah, I'm never going to say I don't love my job and love everything, but it is cool occasionally for someone else to run a trolling motor and make the decisions, and you just get to, just get to fish. Like it's fun.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's too cold. I mean, I would have liked to. We played golf before. It's been a long time, and you hadn't played lately.
I haven't played in a year.
I would have loved to have got you on the golf course right now.
You're on fire right now. You're pretty much in peak form, right? You hitting the ball better than you've ever hit it?
Yep.
Ooh, yeah, no, I don't want any part of that.
I keep getting older and the ball keeps going.
So like literally,
I'm
like
still not that good though.
Ago,
Let's be honest. I'm not that good. I enjoy playing.
Last October, November, December, I really got back into it.
Yeah,
where I was touching.
We were gonna do something last year and we didn't do it. Let's not talk about it because we may do it another time.
Yeah. But I was touching the upper 80s.
Yeah, which is good.
Like full round, honest shooting 88 to 93.
Yeah, like guys I play with back home, like a lot of us are pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I did have a day the other day where I shot under par, but we're also not playing
60s.
Yeah, I shot 60. I had 7 birdies.
Yeah,
seven birdies. It was awesome
in a row.
But
in the round?
No, in a round. But I didn't make my first one to hole 7.
Oh wow,
so
that's on fire.
Yeah, it was hot, dude. But we don't play the tips. We don't play every lie down. Like we play preferred lie, where you can bump it and get you a good lie and all that kind of stuff. So it's not DeChambeau shooting 7 under par or anything. Like I get it, but we're all pretty close and stuff. Like as on our level, so we have a good time with it. That has become. I've always enjoyed playing golf, but with the stresses of like what fishing and some of that stuff can lead to in life, like that is my getaway now. And I have a really cool course, like a quarter mile from my house at Cypress Bend. I proposed to my wife on the golf course.
Aww.
It's right by my house. Like lots of cool memories. We can go over in the evening and play around and bring our dogs now, since we have a +1. So, but it's fun. It's something me and my wife love to do together. But for me, like the dudes I play with, most of the time we don't talk about fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy that I usually ride with is a poker player. He's a professional poker player.
Yeah, you're talking
cool.
about that.
Yeah, cool dude. But that's my getaway from fishing, because every other time every moment in your life, that's what we talk about. It's what we think about. It's what me and you text about.
Yeah.
When you call a buddy and you're driving somewhere, you talk about fishing.
The crappie fishing's kind of a break. It's just totally different.
And I'm kind of excited to see how you do it. I've like scoped some a little bit for crappie a little, but I hadn't really went out and just targeted them. But I live on one of the best crappie lakes in the world. So it'd be kind of cool to do this and go home and, well, no, I'm saying you can teach me some stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully
that I can go home. Now I'm gonna be honest. I don't have to catch big ones. My wife likes to eat crappie, so
we can send you home with some crappie.
I don't have to do that today. I can do it at home. But if you can train me,
but if we catch a mess of 13, 14 inchers, there's no reason that we shouldn't slab them.
Knock the sides off of them. If you can train me to be a better crappie angler, you'll make a big fan out of Randy.
Speaking of which, for those who want to follow the adventures of Randy, Rowdy, what's the Rico? Mo.
Rico would have been good.
Randy, Rowdy,
and Mo, our new adoptee shelter dog. Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything planned? You still going to do YouTube stuff for the Opens this year?
Yeah, we're going to do some YouTube stuff for the Opens. Me and you may do some stuff after the Opens. We talked about maybe doing some like recap type stuff. Be fun. Yeah. But as far as me and her, I'll do all the normal socials, Instagram. She'll do some YouTube stuff. I'm gonna be doing a lot of videos with the Bass Tank Academy.
Okay,
be fun, like kind of on the water electronics teaching stuff. So it'd be all the same stuff, dude. We're gonna be traveling around the camper. We're looking at getting a double stroller, Rowdy's got his little stroller. She pushes around.
Double topper like those guys who is it? Alton Jones, who had the deal where he put the boat underneath and then he put the
you're talking about for the
top.
camper. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the stroller. Like
I know, but I'm just saying same concept.
That's what it's gonna look.
Except you have Rowdy in the bottom bunk and
because my wife's always photoing and videoing at weigh-ins. She had to figure out an easy way to get Rowdy around in the stroller. And Rowdy's an elderly guy. He don't like to walk, so we got to figure out how we're going to get Mo's a little spastic.
Has he ever liked to walk?
Yeah, a little bit, but he's kind of got little legs. Like it's a weakness. He has stubby legs. He don't like to walk a lot.
But I mean, even in the early days, he didn't mind a stroller ride.
No, who wouldn't?
I didn't know some dogs.
I would love it. He looks like Caesar or something. Get pushed around,
but he's always just been cool, just sitting there and taking it in.
Yeah, I get it. I wish they made adult size strollers. I'd let someone push me around. It's awesome. But yeah, we're gonna get a double stroller and roll around.
I'm sure there's some show on TLC.
And so she's still gonna do her and Gerald's wife Leanne.
Mm-hmm.
They do the Real RV Wives on TikTok and Instagram, like where they do a lot of kind of like the wives' perspective on camping and traveling and chasing us around the country. So they do some cool camping tips and like product things and things like that about things you need when you're RV camping and stuff, which is really popular right now.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing all that kind of normal stuff. Nothing. I guess it's all become some normal now, but that's what we do. But yeah, we do some of the YouTube stuff. We don't go nuts with it. Most time it's like recap videos. If we have a good event or some cool things we want to share, we'd like to share. It's like a cool way for me to share what we're going through on the road with, like, especially all the folks back home that keep up with us and all that.
I like it.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited to be, even though I'm relegated, I'm excited to get the open started this year, dude. Like, I'm ready to hit the road already. I'm going to fish some stuff at Rayburn in January, like to warm up. Like, I'm ready to go fishing. Fired up, man.
I'm ready to go fishing today.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. This has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Another in-studio guest tomorrow. Speaking of crappie, Zeke Anderson,
a good one,
is one of the top 5 crappie guys potentially in the country.
Right.
He's underrated because he's humble.
Yeah.
He's taught a lot of guys who consider themselves the best of the world.
Yeah.
Taught a lot of those guys what they know.
How to do it.
And then just kind of sits back and goes, oh, that's interesting. That's how you learn that?
That's cool.
And he's the one who taught him.
That'd be a good listen.
If you guys don't know him. So what he's going to do is a show on crappie fishing for bass anglers.
So that's going to be
so many bass anglers that want to get into this crappie fishing thing and do it, but you go to the crappie world and it's like a foreign language. He's a crossover guy. He knows exactly what to do.
So that'd be like, I'll listen to that on the way home tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to learn how to catch crappie, but learning to catch crappie is a good way to help yourself get better at scoping fish.
And he's going to talk about that and all sorts of stuff. So Zeke,
I'll
in studio tomorrow, and then Friday I fly out to El Salto.
Follow.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for jumping on.
Peace.
Darold.
Dude. Thank you, dude.
Enjoyed it. We're
Always
headed to the lake. Thanks everybody for listening on this Tuesday. Same place, same time tomorrow. BTL, we're out.